All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for what you all have been waiting for. Give it up for your HBCU aunties and uncle. Everybody, welcome Tyan, Mia, and Andy.
That one. Hey, 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 hey.
What's cracking, family?
Hey, hey.
How we
It's
does today?
Monday, huh? Monday. It feels like a Friday. It's Monday.
Not
But
this
we're
far. I
here.
know.
We're
Happy
here.
post Mother's Day.
Happy Post
Thank you,
Mother's Day.
thank you, thank you,
Happy
thank you,
Post
thank
Mother's
you.
Day.
I know
Yeah.
it's kind of rough on all of us, but again, they looking down on us, and as long as we're acknowledging them and their presence is felt, I'm good with that.
Amen. Amen to that. Amen to that. So I
Absolutely.
figured we bring a little light, a little joy, a little laughter to this episode. Of course, my favorite friend is TikTok. I don't care what anybody says. Um, and of course, we know tons of kids have been graduating, tons have been packing up to come back home from school. And so I found this TikTok that I want to be able to reference per se for one young lady's feelings about school and coming back home from school. Can we hit the play on that? We gonna hit the play on that? Hold on, let me see. Give me a second. We got our own thing.
Y'all
I
silly.
swear I watched this a million times because I thought it was just so funny.
In the free world in college, y'all. It's over. The semester is done. Family, please do not ask me how school went, bitch. It just went. I can't explain it. Shit happened fast and fast it happened. All that being said, I did what I could. I put it in the Lord's hand. I come home, do not be interrupting my damn peace. Asking me about how school went. School went. What else it is? Hell, the schoolwork did me. I didn't do it. Honestly. Can truthfully say that shit wholeheartedly. Come home from work, I don't ask you how it was work because it was work. Somewhere you did not want
And I think
to.
right there is where
Same
we can
thing.
stop at.
Same. I promise, Pinky.
You
It's
get
no
the
disrespect.
gist of it. You get the gist of it. And it just made me think about how, parents make kids feel like, life is so hard for them and don't really take into consideration life is hard for the kids too.
Yeah.
They got these retarded rules that they got to go through with the whole move out process. They done figured it out. You done told them to figure it out all semester. They tried to figure it out. It went. And so hopefully we can give parents a little something to just kind of realize that their children have gone through something. They can be a little light, not so hard on them when they come home. But Tyon, I always like to lean on you because you are going through this in real time. You are going through this in real time. And of course, we'll come back with some really good tips, hopefully, to just kind of help everybody relax. But what are your thoughts on this right here? This statement, it went thousands of dollars.
So being in her position, some odd 30 years or so years ago, and again, folks aren't really familiar with my mom. We talk about her a lot every now and again, but the kind of mom I had, I used to be the one to say, you know what, my kids have nerves too. Um, and in a way, not to get popped in the mouth, I was saying, you kind of like on it right now, but at the same time, I understand what she's saying. But from the other perspective, we are excited that our kids have embarked upon a new chapter in their life. So yeah, I want to know what's going on. And I'm going to say this, mine isn't as actually, he's out there doing his thing, living his life. He's not the one calling his mama every month or so. That's how bad it is. So
Mm-hmm.
when I'm in your presence, yeah, let me know what's going on. And actually, when I asked the question, I done found out he up here, Mr. Sophomore of the School of Agriculture. I'm like, it's the end of the semester. I'm just now finding this out. You
Wow.
know, I'm asking what grades and stuff look like because, okay, based off of some things that we've talked about a couple episodes ago, I got to make sure you've done your credit check, that you on track. I mean, this is
Right.
summertime. What we doing? So I have to ask
Right.
all these questions to know. Understanding that you need a break, I get it. But also, you are a member of this household when you get back home too. So just because you have, you know, had an exhausted semester, don't mean that you can just throw your clothes all over the place. Understanding that, you know, you had a refrigerator next to your bed and you can go in and out of it as you know, so please. But now you getting up in the middle of the night, going back and forth to the refrigerator. The dog starts barking. You're interrupting my sleep. So, you know, it's getting that, it's adjusting again. And we're actually both adjusting back to each other because I've empty nested. The house has been quiet. $30 electric bills, you know, stuff like that. Like, you know, and now you come back and it's an adjustment. So it's an adjustment on both of our ends. But one thing that I want to put out there to the rest of you guys as a boomerang is, how do you feel about instilling household rule and curfews? I know when I came back from school, especially my freshman year, that first time I came back, I still wasn't 18 yet. And my mother literally tried to put me on a curfew. And I'm looking at her like, woman, I've been up and down the East Coast doing whatever, and it's a curfew, but understanding that that's still the rule of the house. Now, mine will actually, you know, actually be entering into his third decade of life. He'll be 20. So it's like, I still have to understand that he is an adult, but there's rules in the house. So how do you guys feel about, I mean, give me some advice. How do you guys feel about giving him his space and, you know, actually respecting him as an adult? Because also, you know, I've noticed that my child is blooming, but his mouth is real smart. I mean, he's been saying stuff like I called him yesterday. I asked him, I mean, it was Mother's Day, so he was catering to a few of my wins. And so I asked him to bring me something to drink. And I have specifics about how I like my water. And as I was giving him instructions, it wasn't even a mumble. He was walking away like bougie ass. And I'm like,
Oh, we don't like
is
calling
that
nothing.
Over water?
I can only imagine what her instructions were. Anybody who has instructions for water, I mean,
We did this over water?
I mean,
yeah.
but at the same time, there was a little truth, I guess. You know, my instructions for water and the types of water and how to prepare it could be, you know, perceived as a little bougie. But I'm like, you really had the nerve to like express that out your mouth with the word ASS on the end? Like, is that a check?
So we're gonna start with the wonderful word that you used, like just the whole. What was the word that you said? You said you had to get used to. You had to readjust. What was the word? It was a readjustment.
Yes.
Fair. Andy, I'd like to hear your take on the curfew because I had my own experience with the curfew.
You know, a curfew is going to be a little bit different coming from being in your own, you know, moving at your own speed and your own time in your own place. And now you're coming back to your parents' house, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a curfew is kind of like a foreign language. It's a word they haven't used in a very long time. And even if they remember what it means. So it could hinder and it can also help you, right? So what you want to be able to do is, if you know that there's going to be rules laid down to this household that you're coming back to, be aware of that and know that, put yourself on a plan to be like, if I don't want to abide by these rules, I'm going to make my own rules somewhere else and put a plan together to get up out this house. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Just get your ass up out of here. And make sure that you have a good understanding of what it's going to take to be in the real world and not have to deal with that curfew if it hurts you that bad.
Mm-hmm. So my experience is a little different. I didn't have a curfew all through high school, but I did respect, you know, I figured whatever I was doing something right. So keep doing the right thing. So I didn't have a curfew. I had a car, so life was good. I go to college. I don't live at home during college. I graduate from college, move back that semester that I graduated. I've graduated. And then my mother says, well, Mia, you know, there's a curfew. I'm 21 years old. Curfew. But what I didn't react. I didn't get upset because what I realized is that I had an 11-year-old sister who did live at home. and that she was making that rule not really for me per se, but she didn't want my sister to see that I respected it. So I was exactly what you did, Andy. I believe after that curfew comment, I probably moved out not even 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
So I respect it. I think looking back at those things now as an adult, I realize that a lot of these rules do help you. You don't see it then, you don't see it in the moment, but you see it now. It's not really a curfew because I don't want you to have fun. It's a curfew because it ain't really a whole lot of great things happening out there in the streets, especially nowadays after a certain time. So that curfew thing is something, and I feel like when it comes to certain rules, and this is just from I don't have kids, we all know that. I think that sometimes with these rules, parents just feel like because they're the parent at any given time, they can make a rule. I said it out loud.
And
I don't
that's
care.
where
I don't care. I said it.
And that's kind of what I felt with mine. So let me actually explain to you how my curfew went before I turned 18. So it was every time you come home on time, you get another half an hour. And I'm like,
so they're earning credits?
Whatever.
Is it a puzzle?
Are they earning credits?
It was a cumulative, you know what I'm trying to say.
Get that word out. Cumulative
curfew. So first week back, okay, be in the house by 12:30. Don't be coming in my house all times of night. Okay, bet. That's fine. So I come home at 12:30. Next time I can stay out till 1. So guess what I was doing? I was trying to go out every night.
She racking up
minutes.
Yeah, she racking up minutes.
To be. But then one of those nights I got caught up. And so my room was in the attic. So I thought that I could tiptoe up the attic and, be good with it. And she woke up to go to work the next day and yelled up the steps. It's like, I heard you coming in and you did not and the rule was also when you come in the house, let me know you made it in. Because also having a single, being in a household where it's just 2 single females, I want to ensure your safety, one, but it was also the respect for the house. So in that moment, once I had missed that other one, I got knocked right back down to what the original was. So to your point, Mia, just enforcing rules just because you're the parent. But then I too, I had to move home after actually graduating and after actually having my own place. I had set a goal for myself of being out in 6 months because I had a taste of paying my own rent, my own car note, like all of that, and to have to be subjected to some rules. But I also understood the respect for that house. That is her house. That is her house. So however she wants to set the rules, yes, I can be mindful and respectful of that. But at the same time, I look at it as I am a guest. So are you going to, give me some contingency or some courtesy?
I'm a guest. You tried it.
Wait a minute. Did you really feel like a guest knowing that is the room
she tried it.
in your own
she
space?
Tried that one.
No, the second time I moved into the guest room. I was strategic about the whole thing. I didn't move back into my room in the attic. I moved into the guest room. So I was being strategic about it to say, hey, I'm going to be a guest here. I'm not going to be here long. I am setting the message. But as a guest, do you extend me the same courtesy? Because I'm not trying to make this a permanent situation. I'm not eating your food. If you, if you so request that I chip in on utilities and stuff like that, I have no problems doing so. I am a guest.
So I'm a guest. Go ahead, Andy. Go ahead, Andy.
Okay. Speaking with that, and I love the fact that we're having this conversation because so many parents are dealing with that, especially this time of year. Their baby is back home, right? But that baby ain't babying no more.
That part.
Right? When your baby is just as tall as you are. And
if not taller.
Now, everything that you've taught your child how to do, everything that you have kind of worked for to show them the right way to go, Now they're back into your household with everything that you taught them, but it's not really the same person, is it?
Right.
Yeah. So with that in mind, and this is a real serious condition. So are we collectively teaching our children, our young adults, the value of a dollar, to really how to go out there and make that living on their own? Because on a college campus, it's one way of life, but now you got to play with a whole different set of rules. You got to apply for jobs, right? You got to
Right.
go into the workforce with people our age, their age, and something else in between, and at the same time be able to know how to find the right paycheck and find their right value for the work that they're actually wanting to be doing. So, man, that's a trip because I didn't move back in immediately with my parents.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, it was no.
You was gone.
We in the real world. Baby is due 6 weeks after we graduate.
Oh,
Oh,
We
wow.
grown man status. I had to figure it out. So
wow.
yeah, so it's a two-way sword because I'm dealing with it now. I'm seeing it now, and it's very interesting that we're having this conversation. I love it. What is the message that we send to our children as far as helping them understand their dollar, their degree, their value, or how they perceive it in a market where it's tight on some people who've been in the workforce for the past 5, 6, 7 years trying to get
Right.
them a job.
Right. And so you have two different levels there, right? Because you have the kids who are graduating from school, and then you have the ones who are coming home from school that are still college, they're still going through their college
Oh yeah,
career.
oh yeah.
And so I think that lesson, I immediately went to the Cosby Show episode with Theo and the
Yeah.
money. We are old enough to all remember that episode, right? I went there. And when I went there, I wondered to myself, do parents really take their kids through that before they go to college? Like, what does it look like to have to manage that space? But then to what you said, Andy, coming out, I'm an adult, quote unquote. I might move into my family home. How do I manage having the freedom, but I still don't have the finances? Because even when you were in school, we can't say it's for everybody, but the idea is that you have people at home who are helping you get through that space. And the college career has looked different a lot, like, lately, even through the times that we have, you have kids who go to school and don't have a home to go home to. Summer break or graduation, right? So it can be a little different for everybody. But I think that from what you say about the finances, coming home, teaching them what that looks like, the video, I loved it so much because I had about 5 people that I know personally in my ear saying, oh no, she got to get a job, or he got to get a job. He got to do something. And they're like, what do you mean? I just survived this job that I didn't know how I was going to get through it. I got through it. I need a break. I need a moment. Because
So with that,
we need moments.
yeah, so with that, I had asked this, this question of my village again, and because of course, those that are interested are like, hey, now that he's home, what's going on? And so I said in the text, like, his mind hasn't fully transitioned from school to home, so he's been slipping. But I may have to pull to watch your mouth. I ain't one of your little friends, even though they ain't little no more. So the response from his quote unquote uncle was, it comes with the territory. They all get a 3-week pass when returning back home. After that, it's a straight rattling of the bird chest cages to remind them.
I
And
like that rule.
I go back to another thing that you mentioned too, because we're dealing with in our experiences, we were college students coming home, but think about those who never left the nest. And that's one of my generational curses that I'm trying to break. Because think about it. There are some people that never came out of the mama's basements. There are some people that never and don't contribute to the household. So sometimes as a parent, I feel like that's a choice. And you can't get sick and tired of them not doing anything if you have not had those conversations that we're just talking about that you need to have about level setting and rules. And it's also maturity. And it's also courtesy. And it's also consideration. And these are life skills that you have to teach them when they go out because you do want them to go out and have a family. You don't want them to, I mean, some people may, I'm just speaking for myself. I don't want him to come and have a family and bring it here because you have never had the experience of providing fully. And I think that that's a rite of passage, especially for a young man. I think that they need to go out and learn how to provide. And I can't, and they won't be able to do that if I'm steadily making it easy for you to do that. So, I mean, and again, I mean, there's also conversations about, you know, communal and how as a people, you know, we need to come together. But at the same time, like I said, I'm dealing with a young man. I need you to understand the role of a provider. But if I am the one who is allowing you, and I mean, and let's actually get into it. I have a young man. How do I feel about a young man bringing his in my house?
Girlfriend.
It is a girlfriend, right?
I don't know. I don't know if it's girlfriend or not. I don't know what it would be.
Okay.
But bringing that in my house, I know again, when I was growing up, there were certain things that you just did not bring back into your mama's house, or you had to sneak and do it. But as a young man, and like I said, I was a woman living with a woman. As a young man, it is not acceptable for you to bring that into my element. So again, these rules and level setting and teaching them respect and teaching them consideration, because quite honestly, I mean, again, as a single mom, there's certain activities I don't bring around him out of respect. I think it also kind of goes both ways. But if I'm raising you to be a provider, why am I making it very comfortable for you to stay here? But at the same time, understanding, to Andy's point earlier, there are a lot of financial considerations going on. So, but it's my choice as to whether or not I want to help you in that way. You can't force that on me, or you can't manipulate or be conniving about how you know, make the best of your situation with free rent, free food, free utilities.
Do the ladies get an extra play with that? Are you laughing? I'm so curious. The ladies should get
an extra play for that. I don't think that the ladies should get an extra play for that. I don't.
So she can't bring, hey, mom, this is Dwayne. I just want you to meet him. We about to go back in the room and chill for it. Y'all.
So it's not to go back in the room and chill, but my parents always let me have my boyfriend come over. But wait a minute, because it's so many things Tayon said. So I want to go back to that wonderful word you used, which was grace.
What's not going on?
I like the grace that you use. You brought the word grace up, and then you went to how the baby can't have no girlfriend come over. So now he got to sneak around because he got to deal with your mouth. But that's okay. But then I have a question real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not a question. My statement is this, and I've always said it. 18, 21, they're not an adult, and I feel like Americans, our culture. And even if they're adults in different cultures, but they're raised different ways in other cultures too. He's just getting started, because you mentioned a whole list of things that he still has to learn past the age of 18, 19, 20, 21. And so I feel like we push a lot of things on our youth, even though he's my youth, but you know what I'm saying? We push a lot of things on them. And I'm coming back to this whole thing. You know, they're coming home from school. They've had a lot. They've learned a lot. They processed a lot, whatever. They're coming home. That 3-week rule, love it. Whoever that uncle is, we got another uncle. Thank you, uncle. I love that. I love that rule. But I think that, you know, yes, you want to raise a responsible son. You want to raise someone who understands the importance of provision. But right now, he just trying to figure out how to move in life. He's still trying to figure that part out and provide.
Learn what you show me how that degree that you were so eager to get, that all the classes you went through, how it's helped you. What did you learn in the classes that you took? And if you haven't had that job lined up, how are you moving? Can I watch your behavior to see if you're going to move in what you said that you wanted to do in your degree? If you want to be in mass comm, are you using communications? If you want to major in biology, are you looking into scientific things? Are you looking into marketing? Are you looking into channeling how social media is moving for you? I want to watch your behavior to see where that's going to put you in this household and what your desire is for your next step when you walk up out this house and get a set of keys for your own place.
That's a really
know
great
it.
statement. That's a really good statement.
But I will say this, because in my opinion, when I look at, and I think, Mia, we had this discussion when we were talking about the cost of tuition and whether or not getting an off-campus apartment is economical. I look at my child to say, are you ready for the responsibility of a household? And when I think about that in this current situation, and granted, we're only going into junior year of college, I'm looking at habits and things of that nature. And I'm saying you might not be ready for the full responsibility of a household. So I also gave this advice to another friend of mine who has a graduating senior who called me to ask, did I know of some neighborhoods and have some recommendations, because her child is thinking of staying in the Chicago area after he graduates. And I think that was the first question that I asked. I said, is he ready to be on his own yet? And because my suggestion would be, especially in this economic climate and understanding that this is one of the, basically, as my mother used to say, the high rent district, him considering looking for a roommate when he's looking for the next place that he decides to live as a graduate. Because like I said, I look at my child and I say, is he prepared to know to call the plumber if something goes awry? Is he prepared to understand that, if you're trying to budget, you can't leave lights on all night long, because when that bill hits, you're going to say, well, how did this get to this way? Like, are they really responsible enough to run households on their own?
Give them a bill.
Say it, Andy.
Give them a bill.
Give them a bill, because this is the thing. When we got it, we weren't responsible enough. We had to figure it out too. We had, but okay, you special. You're super. You wanted to be mature. I was running away from maturity. I was like, I don't want to do that shit. What for what? Right? And I'm just being real. Like, I didn't want to have to do it. And I was paying bills at 18. I lived off campus and I didn't live in my parents' house, and I was paying bills. I was working 2 and 3 jobs, taking 18, 21 credits. So I was very responsible. And then by the time I got to my 20s, I was like, I'm tired of this shit. I don't want to do this. I want to give away all my money just to have to live. But I learned, right? And so those things do come and happen throughout just the growth of a person. If, to Tyan's point, you encourage the behavior so that you're not I have a homeboy, love him to death, but he's 50 years old and he might have lived out in his own apartment twice, but he's been living with his mom and daddy because it's comfortable. And he uses the excuse of, well, I'm just helping my parents. Your parents it's 2 of them, it's one of you. They don't need no help. They got each other. What you talking about? You got a whole kid. How you do that? You know what I'm saying? So I think that when we talk about it, I mean, it's light, and I promise you that video made me laugh so hard because I remember being there. Like, don't ask me nothing. I don't want to answer anything. I'm tired just like you are. Leave me alone. And I hear a whole lot of parents out there just, and they got to do this and they got to do this. And I'm like, break it. So Andy, take us up out of here. What's the word according to Andy on this?
I think if anything, ladies and gentlemen, is just understand what you said you were going to school for, right? You got your degree. This is what you said you spent the last 4-5 years or so choosing to do. Make sure that this is what you want to do and study the marketplace. I think a lot of us tend to get the degree first and then find the job. Do your research up front. Find some internships, find some opportunities, find some ways that you don't have to be the burden and be the breadwinner. And make yourself more valuable in your own household and in your own city and your own lifestyle. Let's make it happen.
I love that. And that is the real university. Once again, I love that. Be the breadwinner, not the burden.
Right on.
That's a quote for the day. Be the breadwinner, not the burden.
Run with it.
Run with it. All right, we're out. Have a great one.